All right, you'll not actually believe, but I went through the 3 hours, 17 minutes Narendra Modi podcast on Lex Fridman. Friedman. Okay. I found out in the night, and you don't believe. I sat down. I sat down the whole night watching, rewatching, taking down notes. In fact, if you manage to get the entire transcript of this podcast, which I didn't know that Lex Friedman had already put there. I did everything else and managed to get it to 50 pages, 50. Okay. And then I started to go through all the pages one by one, highlighting the important points and summarizing it, and finally took it to the next series of notes. Then it became from 50 pages to 18 pages. From 18 pages, brought it down to four, and now finally managed to bring it to half a paragraph. Okay, half a page. And what I thought is I would share with you the summary, just the summary of what I analyzed from Narendra Modi's this interview. Okay, so feel free to let me know your thoughts, because I'm going to give you bits and pieces which I thought either you'd have noticed or you wouldn't have. Okay, so let's start. All right. This podcast with Lex Friedman. One is Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He doesn't give interviews that easily. We know that in India. Okay, we know that he doesn't give interviews. He doesn't do podcasts. He's very, very, very careful. In fact, if you do a podcast or if you give an interview, it's very carefully chosen. Very, very. When he was a Gujarat minister, he used to allow these reporters to come, and he was very aggressive. English not being his first language, he used to give it very bluntly. And it was kind of fresh because he didn't mince any words. But I guess after becoming the prime minister, maybe they said, don't do it. It'll affect your image, or maybe you'll be looked upon bad in the world stage. Whatever the strategy was, he refused to give interviews. So for us Indians, we are very aware of Modi's ins and outs. But for the world who is looking at him for the first time, or is getting to know him as he has portrayed himself here, he will come across as an inspiration. Like, let me tell you a couple of things which will surprise you. In some of the comments, people were like, "Wow, wow, he's so fluent in English." Excuse me, this is not him speaking English. This is a AI generated voice. He spoke in Hindi or Gujarati or whatever. He responded, and they translated it, and it is an AI voice that sounds very much like him, but it is not him. The English language dubbing that was done beautifully. Okay, and it's not amateurish English. The English language, the selection of words, is obviously not like Shashi Tharoor, but it's very well versed. It's done pretty well. Lex Friedman deserves a pat on the back for really putting in the hard work. And another thing, this guy, Lex Friedman, really did his homework. I mean, it was mind-boggling. Somewhere in the interview, he says that he read, 3-4 books or biographies of his, and he really did his homework. Where even Prime Minister Narendra Modi was surprised and shocked when he brought up that when Narendra Modi was 17 years old, he decided to, become a kind of a monk, go to the Himalayas and try to find the truth. He was able to highlight this. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi was shocked, like, oh, you actually did your homework, like, kind of a thing. However, I'll tell you this much. this Lex Fridman, I don't know whether he did this on purpose or whether he was given strict instructions. One of my WhatsApp group members told me that this was announced on Twitter quite some time that he would be appearing here. But Lex Fridman has done tremendous amount of homework, and he made sure he didn't ask any controversial question. The only controversial question in the whole 3 hours and 17 minutes was about the Gujarat riots, and he made sure that he worded the question so masterfully where Prime Minister Narendra Modi was looked upon as a savior, which, it's debatable, but he even pointed out that the Supreme Court said, you're not at all guilty for anything. Fine. I was not very active. I don't know. I was not physically present. But 2012 SIT report, 2017 the Gujarat High Court, and 2022 the Supreme Court verdict has clearly exonerated Prime Minister Narendra Modi, saying that he is innocent. He has nothing got to do with the riots. Okay. And that too, like how Narendra Modi said, when Congress was in power, they tried to put the blame on him. Even though they were in power, they couldn't do anything. So obviously, he is innocent. So I don't know much about it, but I definitely give him the benefit of the doubt. And like they say, if the Supreme Court has said it, finish, that's it, end of story. You can't debate it. Okay. Now, I felt the entire podcast could be titled, just like, you have Michael Jackson's legacy tour, the final leg of his career, and he just wants to be remembered very fondly. I felt this was more like Modi's legacy tour, because if there is someone who doesn't know Prime Minister Narendra Modi, or is listening to this for the first time, or is like, who's Narendra Modi? He comes across, like throughout the interview, if you actually see the whole thing, he comes across as an inspiration, which I have no doubt, from abject poverty, from a guy who was born in, he describes his house as one window, sleeping on the floor. I'll give you what were the words that he used. I've written it down. Small windowless house with his parents and sibling all being born there. And his father had to get up at 4:30 a.m. To work. I think his father was a tea seller. He used to visit the temples and work late night. His mother, housewife, but she used to work tirelessly. And, a loving family. Okay, I'd not say anything bad about it. In fact, Modi is a master storyteller. The way he told the story about him getting a pair of shoes from his uncle, which was the white canvas shoes, and he used to take chalk, chalk from the classrooms, the small pieces. He used to make them wet and make it a chalk paste, and that's how he used to make his shoes look like white, because it would get very dirty. Okay. And the way he positioned his family, his mother used to, because she knew remedies for treating children, she would do work for free. The father would indulge in a lot of charity and a lot of temple work. So he based his values from them. And he said that he only wanted to serve his country. He only wanted to do good for India. And that is where he left home on a spiritual journey at the age of 17 to live like a yogi. Okay. He went to the Himalayas and he tested his physical limits by sleeping in the cold, suffering. He read the works of Swami Vivekananda, then Chhatrapati Shivaji, then Mahatma Gandhi, then the saints, and he would be spending time with the monks. Were they monks, or some of them he called them saints? Like there's one Swami Atmasta Andaji or something. It's a very long name. Okay, so if you have never known Narendra Modi or Prime Minister Narendra Modi, or if you're not an Indian, you really feel Narendra Modi is a saint. Like if you would hear him in this interview. Okay. And then, I mean, he really knows how to play with the facts. See, he's a brilliant strategist. I'll tell you that much. He's not only a brilliant strategist, he knows what to say, when, and where. Like, I'll give you a couple of examples. He positioned the RSS as the full form is Rashtriya Swaya Sevak Sangha. He spoke about it with such glowing words that they were akin to serving God. They believed in the Vedic traditions. They echoed the teachings of Swami Vivekananda. Their mission was for education, for inspiring children, for doing good for millions of people. And then he spoke about the achievements. One is Seva Bharati, that runs 125,000 service projects for slum communities. One Vasi Kalyan Ashram, 70,000 are being provided education. I know this might sound like, hey, there's too many details, but what I'm trying to tell you is the way he has mentioned all the information, and I don't know, he was able to memorize all this. Like Vidya Bharati managed 25,000 schools, educating 3 million students. Then India's labor unions has 50,000 unions. So the way he portrayed is you will actually look forward to joining the RSS. It was that amazing to hear all this. Now, when he did all this, you begin to think like, wow, this guy is a gift to India. He is a gift to any nation. Maybe he should become the president of my country. That is the way he was positioned, and that is the way he gave away, like, bits and pieces of the truth or the facts. He didn't state everything. And guess what? Which is obvious. No controversial question was asked. No question that, like, nothing was asked about, putting people in jail for criticizing him, for the anti-Muslim rhetoric, for the CAA, or for Citizenship Amendment Act, or for the currency change that he made, or his failure in the way he implemented the COVID policies. In fact, he has mentioned that the way he handled the COVID policy became the greatest success around the world because the way he handled the COVID and its people, none of them experienced inflation. None of them experienced any kind of hardships that other countries faced. The UN failed, but we succeeded. If you are not an Indian, you would really want to stand up and start applauding. In fact, I was just thinking, okay, he has come on Lex Fridman's podcast. Would he ever think of coming to Joe Rogan's podcast? Because Joe Rogan slams you with the most controversial and tough questions. He wouldn't mind cornering you. Obviously, Joe Rogan, if he would take on Narendra Modi, given that he is a very powerful politician and given that he's friends with Donald Trump, I'm sure he would scale back some of the questions. But you get what I'm saying. Like, no controversial question was asked. No question that where Prime Minister Modi would go like, he's asking me, he's trying to corner me. So everything was goody-goody. Everything was happy. Why did I tell you that he's a great strategist? Man, he's born for politics here. Like, when he was asked about Xi Jinping, he was so complimentary about it. He was like, we are two nations. Our history has gone for years and years. They are doing what is right for our country. We are doing what is right for our country. And we have to work together. And such sweet sounding words. In fact, the best ass kissing that he could do, which he did, was Donald Trump. He aligned what Donald Trump is doing to what he is doing, only the goody one. Like, make America first. He said, we focused on making India first. He said, Donald Trump's leadership is so amazing that he was able to, improve. I can't particularly get that. But yes, One of the examples was Howdy Modi, when it was Modi visited US, and Donald Trump was in the stadium. There he spoke from the heart and said that when I was giving the speech, Donald Trump was sitting down and listening to my speech, saying I felt so humbled. He's saying, then I suddenly went down and I told him, whispered, why don't we go for a victory lap kind of thing and mix with the audience members and the crowd. And here's a funny thing. He said, Donald Trump, normally the Secret Service, everything is planned. The security is the most complex in USA. So he said, I threw their plans out of the window and, we just went. And Donald Trump ignored all the protocol, everything else. And we held hands and we walked together. So the amount of praise that he was showering on Donald Trump, I'm pretty sure Donald Trump would listen to bits and pieces about him after this interview, and they both will be better friends. He also spoke about the fact that when he ran for office the first time, he said he didn't know anything. He's just brand new at the job. But when he got me to the White House, he didn't take any notes, he didn't take any papers, but he knew everything of the White House and every nook and corner and every historical photograph and memory. He's saying Donald, and he was so full of praise of Donald Trump. I'm pretty sure after this interview, Donald Trump is going to call him again and tell him, you're my best friend. So he didn't speak anything bad about Xi Jinping. He didn't speak anything bad about Donald Trump, obviously not. And when he was asked about Ukraine and Russia, what a diplomat. He had high praise for Putin. He had high praise for Zelensky, in the sense that he said, we need to work together for peace. And he's like my brother. And all that. So much of sugar, man. I'll tell you that. And here's the part. When he was asked to speak on Pakistan, he didn't attack the current government. He didn't attack Pakistan like Imran Khan. He said that, he spoke about how the partition was. He didn't directly blame Nehru, but he did blame the partition. And then he did mention one line that was state-sponsored terrorism by Pakistan. And he actually said this, I don't know how far it's true, that he invited the Pakistani delegation during his swearing-in ceremony. He's saying, that he offered them peace. The only controversial topic that they did bring about, but then they had a twist, was the Gujarat riots. And over there, he spoke about, you need to really hear it to believe it. He spoke about Indian flight being hijacked in December 24th, 1999. This was his answer, huh? December 24th, 1999, the Indian flight was hijacked and held hostage in Afghanistan. In the year 2000, Red Fort in Delhi was attacked by terrorists. September 11, 2001, Twin Towers in America was attacked. October 2001, terrorists attacked Jammu and Kashmir. December 13, 2001, the parliament was targeted. And so he is bringing all these events which have taken place. And he also mentioned that Gujarat also got an earthquake, which led so many dead. And he's saying that was only 3 days after I took on office. And he's saying then this attacks took place. And he didn't mention anything specific. He said there were these, external forces, whatever. And he brought Gujarat together. And then, obviously, he said that there was the Godhar incident was very horrific. Gujarat has always had a history. See, the way he has answered. Gujarat has always had a history of violence. Even before I came, more than 250 riots before 2002. But once I took over, it has been totally peaceful. Gujarat is now a very happy place with none of these riots. So just you get what I'm trying to say. He has positioned. I'm pretty sure the questions were sent to him in advance, and he told this Lex Fridman, these are the questions that I will answer, and you ask me in sequence, this is the way. Because I'll tell you, he didn't actually answer like what needed to be said. But overall, what he tried to say is, yes, it was something really terrible, but today Gujarat is the happiest place. And, 1 plus 1 is 2. So, how did you get 2? You just have to go back. So, what he's trying to say is, because of my leadership, because of I took over, everything is peaceful, everything is nice. And the comedy bit, the biggest criticism of them all was how he deals with criticism. He actually said, I welcome criticism. I look forward to criticism. In a democracy, criticism is so violent. And he focused on constructive criticism. Okay. So, I mean, I know as an Indian, you criticize Modi online or you criticize, you're finished. Okay. The way he put it is, I welcome criticism. I ask other people to criticize, and they are the ones closest to me. He even spoke of journalism. He said that, what? I've written it down here. We have, where is it? Where is it? We have more than 900 new media outlets, 5,000 newspapers. He's saying, I've given them total freedom. Total freedom. Come on, man. Who are you trying to bullshit with all this? Yeah. Yeah, it was such a, I felt, I'm pretty sure that a lot of Indians who are, after listening to that, would have fallen off their chair just listening to that. Okay. He encourages criticism. He has given total freedom to journalists and news articles. And he say 24/7, they can print and report whatever they want. And then the other bit was RSS. RSS was portrayed as the saving grace for India with all the good things they've done. Nowhere, absolutely nowhere, where any of the controversies or failures from the currency, the way the currency changes he made, or the Citizenship Amendment Act, or the problems with minorities, or the demolishing of mosques. None of these questions were asked. In fact, he mentioned what? COVID was a success. The way he implemented COVID, it was a success. Hey, woo-yee. Finally, even though the interview was 3 hours, 17 minutes, at around, I think, after 2 hours, then it became very generic and it became very vanilla. He started speaking about, by the way, AI. When he was asked about AI and see how Fridman has worded this. India is lagging behind USA. It's not lagging behind any means overall in the rankings, just lagging behind USA in AI. And his response was, I have told them that there is no AI revolution without India or whatever. Without India, you cannot have AI or bullshit. Yeah, come on. We know, I know, everyone knows. Okay. And then he spoke about inspiring the young children, the youngsters, with some new study format, Pariksha Pe Charcha, some initiative for children to overcome stress in exams. And he also said that there should be no, emphasis on getting high marks. Maybe you're good at cricket or something like that. And the only light questions were about football, who's his favorite football player, in which names like Pele, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Maradona was given. He said Maradona first, but then he spoke about the other players just here and there. Cricket, he was asked. He said, if you have to judge who's better between India and Pakistan, he said, just check the score. Just check the scores. And he was more like, okay, you have to come together in sports and all that. Okay. And finally, I was telling he aligns himself with Donald Trump. He said that he removed 150 million fake names and saved 3 trillion rupees. He has saved. He has done some changes where this one 40,000 compliances were removed to encourage more businesses. 1,500 laws that served no purpose, he got rid of it. Outdated laws. He has bought in direct benefit transfer. That was a 3 trillion rupees thing. A gem portal, and his efficiency has led to global initiatives like One Earth, One Health, One Sun, One World, One Grid for renewable energy. The question is, they didn't ask him for statistics or numbers. You can say you did all this. So overall, okay. And by the way, before I conclude, Lex Fridman really knew how to kiss ass. Towards the ending, he started quoting some Hindu chant of Bhagavad Gita, quotes from this, and he tried to impress him so much. And Narendra Modi was touched by this guy. I'm pretty sure he'll say that Lex Fridman, mera bachcha jaisa hai. He's like my son. And there was so much of love between both of them. Okay. So overall, like I said, I just felt this was like Prime Minister Narendra Modi's legacy tour. He wants to position and leave a legacy where he's looked upon as a loving, caring father figure, a great leader, one with zero mistakes, controversies, problems, who has been the most fair leader in the democratic world, an inspiration to many, who has risen from poverty. All this is true, but zero questions about his failures, about the problems with the minorities, about the RSS agenda, even raising their hand and, when the RSS BJP meetings, or the anti-Muslim rhetoric, or the Citizenship Amendment Act, or the currency, getting rid of the currency, the whole thing was a fiasco. No failures were asked, no controversial questions, no uncomfortable questions. Everything was asked to position him as an inspiration. And I can tell you, he carefully curated those questions because he wanted to make sure the message would go to Donald Trump, Xi Jinping, Putin, Ukraine. And yes, the last hour was nothing but just boring old answers about the future generations and children and all that, which I felt the last 1 hour was a waste. So overall, this was my analysis about Narendra Modi's 3 hours, 17 minutes and 33 seconds of content, which I spent the whole night, 50 pages, and finally brought it down to 4 pages summary, and finally to this half a page. So let me know, what do you think? Which one did you find most funny? Were you surprised that no controversial questions were asked? Did you listen to the whole thing, or are you going to ignore it? And what did you think of my overall analysis of the whole thing? All right. Good, bad, ugly. Let me know what you think. For me, I really wanted to hear what he had to say. And I'll tell you, credit should be given where credit is due. He's a great communicator. He is a great strategist. He's a fantastic politician. And he knows how to play the game of politics. There's nobody like him who's as good, smart, smooth, and intelligent. Cunning, some of you can say. Anyway, let me know, what do you think? Yes, did you enjoy this summary that I gave you? Did I miss out on anything? Love to hear from you. This is me signing off. You guys take care. All right, ciao.